Hello and welcome back to the channel. In today's video, I want to give my 2 cents or perhaps 22 cents on Paul McCartney's latest solo album, The Boys of Dungeon Lane. And when it was announced that he would be giving us this album and it was available for pre-sale, I jumped on it. And, as it's becoming typical with McCartney releases, he releases a couple different versions where you have different color variants or gatefold versus non-gatefold, different colored packaging, whatnot. And so you quickly decide what you want. Perhaps you want all of it, and you order it. And then, lo and behold, he comes out with more variants, or certain record stores, or not stores, record companies will, offer their own version. You can get pink vinyl, you can get white, you can get all kinds of different color variants. And, I was kind of scratching my head. What do I do? So I ordered the white vinyl from Amazon because I figured Amazon would ship it much quicker than the Paul McCartney website would. And if you've ever ordered from the McCartney website, you know exactly what I mean. In fact, I did order from the McCartney website. I ordered the green CD, and I ordered the picture disc. And today is June 3rd, and this album was released May 29th. I finally received those 2 items from the McCartney website late yesterday. So at least I have all of the Dungeon Lane product that I originally intended to buy plus one. And I can show you those. So, the other thing I should mention is on the release date, May 29th, there were various listening parties across the world, I guess. And I did attend a listening party with my friend Joe Mayo. You can check out his channel, and he actually has a video about that listening party event on his channel, Mean Mr. Mayo. So check that out. You can watch the video if you like, and see, kind of what was going on, who we were able to see there. Hello to Rocco, Ian, Tom, and others who, unfortunately, I've perhaps forgotten your name. And there were a lot of young people there as well, and I was so happy to see that. There was one fellow who said that it was his first time in a record store getting records, and he was picking up a whole bunch of McCartney albums. So glad to see that. Keep the Beatles memory alive. Keep it going, because, hey, the greatest rock band ever. So anyway, I attended this listening party, and in addition to hearing the album in its entirety for the first time, there were some offerings. So I was able to pick up the album, the vinyl, on silver vinyl. Unfortunately, unlike some of the other editions, there's nothing on here to indicate that this is silver. Nothing. And some people said perhaps the coloring is different. The coloring may be different from other color variants. It may be a little different from the CD, but I'm not convinced that the color has a lot to do with it in terms of the silver. So what I did actually is I put a note there so I'd remember that this is the silver vinyl from the May 29th listening party. So I didn't pre-order this. I didn't originally have intentions of buying it, but the more I thought about it, the more I thought, it'll commemorate the fact that I went to the listening party, and it is, I believe, a much more limited release. So I have it. It's unopened. I don't think I will be opening this. I'm going to keep it intact. In terms of the other merchandise or items that we received with it, there's this series of 4 postcards, and others have shown these, so you're probably familiar with it. And this Boys of Dungeon Lane tote bag, not the sturdiest or most quality bag I've ever gotten from one of these type of events, but it's great to have it. So, and then the record store that I went to was also offering some McCartney photos that I'm not sure all record stores did. I don't know if this was something that this particular record store was doing on its own, although I did see, I don't remember who it was, somebody had shown some items that they had gotten at the listening store events, and I did see the 3 photos that you were able to get in there. So some record stores did it, others didn't. Anyway, I chose this particular picture. This is the iHeartRadio Festival on September 21st, 2013. And of course, I've got my memories of the listening party. Now, in terms of what I had pre-ordered, again, I got the CD. This is the green. And, you've got the green lettering here to let you know it's green. Red would have red and so on. Same front and back as the vinyl. The CD does come with this photo of Paul, which of course is classic to this particular album. It has a booklet, and this booklet actually opens up this way with the lyrics, and of course at the end, credits. And then it includes this inner sleeve to the CD with a collage, again, that is on the gatefold when you open it up. And if you get the single vinyl, the non-gatefold, it's the inner sleeve. And I'll show you that on my white version. Now, again, this was the green CD. And I thought, honestly, that this label might be green or have some green on it. It doesn't. It's probably, trying to minimize costs by perhaps having all the CDs the same. I don't know. But whatever. This is my Amazon exclusive on a white vinyl, despite the red lettering here. Again, front and back. We've got the booklet, of course, much larger vinyl album size, which folds open like a regular book. And then again, the inner sleeve has this incredible collage. And, I've heard people say there are some significant omissions in terms of the people who are included in this collage. Stuart Sutcliffe, Pete Best, although I might be able to understand why. I don't think George Martin is on here. But anyway, several nice images there. And, when I first saw the cover of this album, I wasn't a biggest fan of it. And I thought, he could have done something more. And then when I saw this, I thought, something along these lines might have been a good album cover. I now think differently. This has kind of grown on me, and I think, honestly, hearing this album, which is very introspective and sort of reflective on his past, there are things that Paul shares with us, and there are things that he holds back. And, one of the lines he talks about the secret code and how the promise will never be broken. So apparently we'll never know what that secret code was. Well, along those same lines, I feel like this that didn't disclose the secret waiting for us inside, which is this collage with all of these images of, people from Paul's past. So I'm kind of glad that we have that simple cover. Having said that, I did also order the picture disc. Again, this is from the Paul McCartney website, and it comes in this plastic sleeve here, and I've put it into my own sleeve to help protect the original. So that's it in terms of the Boys of Dungeon Lane items that I've gotten. Dare I say so far? I mean, if you know Paul, there's a good chance that we'll be getting other versions, perhaps with additional songs sometime in the future. So is that it for me? Hard to say, folks. Hard to say. So, as I mentioned before, at the listening party, that was my first opportunity to hear the album in its entirety. Obviously, I had heard the 2 singles that were released, both The Days We Left Behind, which was the first one, and is a very moving look at Paul's past. Anytime he's reflecting on his Beatle days, it gets you right there, and this album, honestly, it is a look at the past, but it's not necessarily stuck in the past. And he takes us on a musical journey with this album. And, I like to think about it like, he starts here at the beginning and goes through this musical history of his and all of these different things that he's done and all of these new things that he's doing. And it goes right through there, and it touches my heart. And I think it touches yours as well. Okay, that was corny, but I did it, so there we go. Hate me in the comments if you'd like. And of course, the second single, it was his duet with Ringo, and this was his first duet with Ringo. Yes, Ringo has played on other songs, and yes, Ringo has sung on other songs, but it wasn't an actual duet. He didn't share the lines and the vocalization with Paul. It was basically, Paul singing and then Ringo might be in the background or adding a line or two or something. This was an actual duet, and the song is called Home to Us. And both are wonderful songs. Love those songs. But I hadn't heard the rest of the album. So at the listening party, I'm blown away by the songs that I'm hearing. It opens up, and the first couple songs are stellar, and the sequencing is stellar. And, it's a listening party at a record store. There are other people around. There's some noise. People are talking. So you can't get the full effect of it. But after that, or I should say during that first listen, I kind of felt like, I'm enjoying the first maybe 5 or 6 songs. Then it tapers off a little. And then, of course, we have the Home to Us, which, is a great song. But then after that, I felt like, well, it kind of lost some steam for me. Well, I now have the album. I've listened to it several times. And I got to say, my initial impression was wrong. Those songs may slow it a little, but every song on here, I think, is a good song. So this album, I feel like you can listen to this album start to finish, and there's not a song you want to skip. At least there's not a song I want to skip. And, so many albums are good albums, great albums, but what I find happens a lot is an album is considered great because it has many great, hot, hit songs on it. So, Band on the Run is an obvious example. You've got some classic material on that, Band on the Run and Jet, and in the U.S. you have Hell on Wheels and 1985. But you've also have some that are it's kind of slows down the album. There may even be songs that you want to skip on the album. But overall, you look at it and you say, okay, these are the top tier, A+ songs. And these are the ones that are sort of like a C. But it all averages out to, a B+ or something. And you say, hey, this is a great album. Well, this particular album, The Boys of Dungeon Lane, I don't feel like there's that wide disparity between the songs. Yes, some I like better than others, but unlike, say, Band on the Run, where one song is up here and the other's down here, this is kind of much narrower, if you will, difference, okay, between these songs. I can look at my least favorite song on this album, and honestly, it's not that far off from my favorite song on this album. And I kind of like that consistency, and I like it not only for this album, but any album. Honestly, that's probably one of the reasons why I prefer the Rolling Stones' Beggar's Banquet to, let's say, Let It Bleed, or even Sticky Fingers. Those two albums, those last two, I feel like they've got some truly great songs, but they've also got some, in my opinion, album filler stuff that is don't really care for this one. Beggar's Banquet, I listened to that, and there's standout songs on it, but for the most part, it's a consistently good album. And I like that. And I like that in an album Obviously, I'd prefer an album full of A and A plus songs, but I like albums like that. And that's what this is right here. This is a good album all the way through. And I believe it's an album that will increase in, it's people appreciating it more with repeated listenings. So this is definitely going to be a grower. And later on, I'm actually going to rank the songs. It may not be part of this video, it might be a separate video, but let's see how long this particular video becomes, because obviously I'm doing a lot of talking here. So the album, again, it's Paul's trip down memory lane. It's, and I should say it's largely a trip down memory lane. Most of these songs have not only his reflections on experiences or on the people who would influence him, shape him into the man he has become and the man he is today, but it has musical references to his past, and it has some new type of musical interludes or instrumentation that you haven't heard before from Paul. So it's quite a variety, and with more listens, I think you are able to capture more of the influences that may have been driving a particular song. And I'll talk about that in the video when I'm ranking these songs and what influences I'm hearing and what it reminds me of. So again, you've got a variety of styles. You've got tempo changes. I mean, we've come to know and love that from Paul. He's done this type of thing since the beginning of his solo career. When you think back to Ram, I mean, Uncle Albert, Admiral Halsey. I mean, come on, that is an epic classic song. You've got all kinds of tempo changes and things going on, and it's just a musical joyride. It really is. So you hear this album now, Ram was out in 1971. It's now 2026. This is it's June 3rd. The man gets, on June 18th, he gets to sing When I'm 84. Amazing that we've been able to get so much music, so much great music from Paul McCartney. This album is as good as any solo McCartney album that he's released in the past, say, 20 years. So I've already talked too much about this. I've shown you what I got. So I think what I'm going to do at this point is wait until the next video to share with you my current rankings of these songs. And I'll talk about the songs a little bit in that video. So stay tuned for that. I'll try to get that out as quickly as I can. But thank you for watching this one. Stay well, folks. And remember, if the music strikes a chord, let it play.